Hello everyone, my name is Delmy Haney and this is my presentation on classroom environment, schedule, expectations, and procedures. So right now I am currently volunteering at a at-home daycare center and I work with children from ages 0 to 5. My hopes is for my future classroom to be preschool or either kindergarten. So I will be working with children ages 3 to 5. So first we will be discussing my physical classroom environment. So here we have a layout of how I want my classroom to be. When my students walk in, I want to have their cubbies right by the door so everything stays organized and doesn't get lost. The cubbies will have their names on them so each student will know which one belongs to them. I will have arrows by each door so when it's time to line up, I can have them stand on the arrows. I will have a bulletin / classroom routine board, one by the front door so the parents can read it, and one by the smart board where we do group activities so the students can see the schedule as well. And the routine schedule will have pictures displayed on it so my students can have a visual when they look at it. I will also have a library, a play / toy center, a make-believe center, an art area, and a technology center for my students to have many different options throughout the day. So does my physical classroom environment build a positive and predictable learning environment? So by having a daily schedule posted by the group time circle and at the front door, the students will be able to view the schedule and know what to do when to do it. The parents will also be able to easily see the schedule when they drop off their child, which creates a positive and predictable learning environment. Does it support the development of relationships? So having different centers like the art table, my students can create things and find common interests with their peers, which supports the development of relationships. Does it support students' behavior and social interactions? So having a certain amount of students per center will support student behavior and social interactions because it will prevent students from fighting over things. Does it reduce student stress? So keeping everything in the classroom clean and organized and labeled will help to prevent students from being stressed out. This way, if they are looking for something, they can easily be able to find it. And does it provide a safe and challenging learning environment? So according to Norman, there should be plenty of space in the room so the children can move about without feeling crowded. I made sure to not overcrowd my classroom so my students will not feel overwhelmed or crowded. Now we will be talking about the schedule. So according to Norman, you should set up a daily schedule that provides large amounts of playtime, smooth transitions, and a balance between child-initiated and teacher-initiated activities. I think I have a nice balance between what the students decide to do and what I assign them to do. So here is the daily schedule I will have for my classroom. The one in my classroom will also have a visual next to every activity my students will be doing. So starting at 8 a.m. to 8:30, this is when the students arrive. They're going to put their stuff away in their cubbies and go eat breakfast at the tables. 8:30 to 8:45 is group time where we go over the calendar, like the days of the week, and sing our morning song. From 8:45 to 9:30 is center time. So students can pick which center to go to, like technology or maybe the make-believe or any other center that's available. From 9:30 to 9:50 is outdoor time, and this is obviously where we go outside and play. From 9:50 to 10:05, the students will come back in from outside and they're going to have their snack. From 10:05 to 10:20, we will have story time together, or sometimes I'll have the students just read quietly alone. From 10:20 to 10:40 is where we will do our little lesson of the day. So we'll be learning anything from like the letter B or maybe writing our names or something like that. From 10:40 to 10:50 is another center time where the students get to choose again where to go. And then from 10:50 to 11 is cleanup time / get ready to leave. So does the schedule build a positive and predictable learning environment? By having a set schedule, it helps build a positive and predictable learning environment where my students can know what we are doing for the day. Does it support the development of relationships? By having a schedule, the students will be able to come together and plan when they want to do things with each other. Also, by having a consistent schedule, my students can count on the schedule to help them navigate through the day, which helps them to be more independent and confident in my class. Does it support students' behavior and social interactions? Having different centers can help my students practice their social skills with each other for different types of situations. Also, if the students know what to come, they are less likely to throw tantrums during transitions. Does it reduce student stress? Students will be less stressed by being able to see the schedule and know what is coming next. And then, does it provide a safe and challenging learning environment? So splitting up the students and not having them all in the same center at one time will prevent any fighting or arguments and keep the students safe. Now we will go over my expectations. So I expect the students to follow the rules and be kind to one another. I expect the students to work on their social skills during center times. While outside, I expect the students to explore and be active. I expect the students to feel comfortable in my classroom and be able to find things easily. And I also expect my students to feel safe in my classroom and during outside time. So does my expectations build a positive and predictable learning environment? Making sure my students are following my classroom rules ensures a positive and predictable learning environment. Does it support the development of relationships? Having the students be able to work together supports the development of relationships. Does it support students' behavior and social interactions? While outside playing, students can interact with each other and be able to practice their social skills. Does it reduce student stress? Making sure students are in a comfortable classroom where they can find things reduces stress. And does it provide a safe and challenging learning environment? So making sure my classroom is safe in the outside area will provide a safe and challenging learning environment. Now we will go over the procedures. So here are the 4 times of the day I think that we have the most transitions. So first one, arriving to class. So students arrive to class, they put their belongings in the cubby, they go sit down at their table for breakfast, and then they go sit on the group rug for group time. So the next transition is getting ready to go outside. So the students must first clean up the center they were at. Then they must go to the bathroom, wash their hands, and then they line up at the door. Then getting ready for story time. So students first wash their hands because they just had a snack. The students sit on the group rug with their legs crossed, and then the students decide as a group what book we will read. Next, coming in for snack time. So the students must first line up, then they have to go to the sink, wash their hands, then they sit at their tables to receive their snacks. Do my procedures build a positive and predictable learning environment? So by doing the same routine every day, the students will be able to predict what they need to be doing on their own. Does it support the development of relationships? So coming together during story time and deciding what book to read supports the development of relationships. Does it support student behavior and social interactions? By being consistent with these procedures, it develops a routine so they will know what to expect and will prevent unwanted behaviors. Does it reduce student stress? Again, being consistent with the procedures can prevent my students from feeling lost and will reduce stress. And does it provide a safe and challenging learning environment? So according to Lori, most children feel safer and more secure when they can count on consistent daily routine. If my students know what to expect in my classroom, they will feel comfortable and safe in my classroom. Now we will go over the safety plan for my classroom. So before an emergency happens, the first thing I will do is make sure my classroom is safe in case an emergency happens. So according to Norman, the room should be well maintained and in good repair. So I will make sure my classroom has no broken items around, loose things, and even make sure my floors has no cracks or anything that my students can trip on. When it is time for an emergency, I want my students to be able to get out of the room safe. So if an emergency does happen and we need to exit the room, I will first have my students line up at the door with their assigned emergency partner. This way the students can keep track of each other as well on top of me. I will have my attendance sheet and make sure all students are present. I will check the room and make sure there's no students left in the room. I will then lead my students to the appropriate safe area the school assigned for us. And then I'll take roll again once we get to our safe area to make sure all my students are there. So does my safety plan build a positive and predictable learning environment? Making sure my students are safe builds a positive and predictable learning environment. Does it support the development of relationships? Giving my students emergency partners will support the development of relationships and helps my students look out for each other. Does it support students' behavior and social interactions? Having a good safety plan will definitely help students be on their best behavior during a real emergency situation. Does it reduce student stress? If the students know what to do during an emergency, they will feel less stress in case an emergency does happen. And then does it provide a safe and challenging learning environment? Making sure to take attendance twice will definitely provide a safe learning environment for my students.